Welcome to SVG-TV's news for Friday, November 22nd, 2024. I'm Triska Campbell with the details. In the 72-hour weather forecast, the SVG Met Services says low-level moisture will generate occasional cloudy skies and pockets of showers across SVG as Friday closes. The weather advisory has been upgraded to a flash flood watch for SVG. The Met Service says a surface trough approaches our islands, increasing the potential for moderate to heavy showers and thunderstorm activity along Saturday. Residents and motorists in areas prone to flooding and landslides or near rivers and streams are asked to remain on the alert. According to the Met Services, these conditions could persist into Sunday, with marginal improvements anticipated by late evening. The SVG Met Service says it may issue watches or warnings if conditions warrant. From late Saturday, marine users are asked to exercise caution for above-normal sea swells and for breaking wave action and rip currents near the shoreline. In addition, the forecast says slight concentrations of Sahara dust haze could be noticeable across our islands on Monday. In other news, with the ongoing efforts to secure funds for St. Vincent and the Grenadines and other small island developing states or SIDS to build resilience against impacts of climate change, economist Fika Sam says securing climate finance is a critical issue at this time as countries continue to face unpredictable effects of climate change. Sam, who was a part of SVG's delegation to COP29, was discussing the matter and the recent funds secured by SVG and 3 other member states from a coalition for disaster resilient infrastructure, CARD, a global initiative that unites governments, UN agencies, financial institutions, and private sector to enhance infrastructure resilience against climate risk.
Essentially, because climate change acts as shocks that impede growth or make growth harder, it's necessary to have climate finance to compensate for that and to allow for small island developing states and less developing countries to develop despite the climate shocks. Because every time you have a climate shock, you're set further and further behind. Small island developing states have financial constraints. In fact, the Prime Minister of Grenada pointed to the fact that SIDS have paid 18 times more than they've received regarding climate finance. Essentially, we spend a large amount of our budget on adaptation and mitigation from climate change. So if we have a pie and we have 10 slices, we spend probably 6 slices just to minimize the impacts of climate change. Now, the thing is, if we don't spend those 6 slices, the impacts will be far worse. So it's a necessary spending. However, what climate finance does, it allows for us to invest in those necessary infrastructure and policies to allow for us to overall develop faster, as opposed to take longer to develop because a lot of present capital has to be spent in just funding adaptation and mitigation measures.
Sam highlighted the challenges SIDS face in accessing climate finance and how efforts have been made to address these issues to ensure that access is equitable and fair.
Loss and damage, in particular, is one of the most important things that SIDS and LDCs require, because we're speaking to physical damage but non-tangible damage. And so the access to that kind of funding allows for us to, as they say, build back better, faster. In absence of it, when you look at the displacement of persons in Union Island, when you look at the displacement of persons from any climatic shock, it's harder for us to build back from the loss and physical damage from the destruction. Essentially, by having that clear mechanism for loss and damage, we're acknowledging that climate shocks have real tangible implications to the people that live there, and that there is actually loss, both physical, mental, emotional, and otherwise, and there requires compensation. And so it takes a more pragmatic road to disaster risk reduction, which is much needed in allowing for more pragmatic and effective climate change adaptation.
Sam also spoke about the blockages to climate finance and the importance of overcoming these barriers to support resilience building efforts in vulnerable countries.
So there are different blockages to climate finance. One of the basic issues is the floor, whereby we ask for a floor of climate finance to get no less than that, and that specified number. Another substantial blockage is the conditionalities. And so we're seeking to have climate finance be primarily in the form of grant funding as opposed to traditional loans. Another blockage is having more diverse forms or lending mechanisms. So even though you have a loan, for it to be in a more favorable timeline, so maybe 40 years with a lower interest rate. So essentially, the biggest blockages to climate finance is first access, and access at an affordable rate that really allows for SIDS, LDCs to use it for their development.
This week at COP29 in Azerbaijan, Minister of Tourism, Sustainable Development and Culture Carlos James emphasized the importance of small island developing states, particularly OECS member states, receiving all of the support they can as they are on the front line of the adverse impacts of climate change. In other news, the Traffic Department of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force is focusing its efforts on reorienting drivers about the traffic laws of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. With this week being Road Safety Week, head of the Traffic Department, ASP Parnell Brown, is reminding drivers of the importance of following traffic laws such as maintaining a 15-foot distance between vehicles. ASP Brown urged drivers to adhere to the rules even when no one is watching.
We have to be more aware of our surroundings and what is happening. You're overtaking and you're less than 15 feet from a corner and you're overtaking the vehicle in front of you. And you have to remember that the vehicle in front of you that is driving is not stopped. It is not at a stop position where you say, oh, it is not moving, so that it will take me up to 2 or less than 2 feet from the corner to complete my overtaking. You have to take all of this into consideration. Your vehicle is 15 feet. The vehicle is 15 feet. And the distance between the vehicle that you want to overtake and the corner is less than 15 feet. How are you going to complete a successful overtaking with a vehicle that is moving, in motion?
ASP Brown acknowledged the long lines of traffic on weekdays heading into Kingstown. However, he encouraged workers to exercise patience and advised that they leave earlier than usual to ensure they arrive to work on time.
Patient while driving. God, that is a serious problem. We're supposed to get to work for 8 o'clock, but we left home 7:30 knowing that traffic is going to build up by 7 o'clock. And we in the vehicle and we at ease. Oh, we are uneasy. And we watch. What is that man in front of it? And you know, we cussing. Oh, we cussing. And we're making it harder for ourselves. Because one, we are starting to become angry. And when you start to become angry, you can't think properly. Because you're going to only think about yourself and how you're going to get to work not being too late. You're done late already.
In his message to pedestrians, ASP Brown emphasized the importance of being aware of their surroundings. He also cautioned those walking or jogging not to use both headphones, as it could block out important traffic sounds and create dangerous situations. Meanwhile, the traffic head criticized road engineers for not adequately considering pedestrian safety when designing and building roads.
Minister in charge of Transport and Works. It is government responsibility to build proper roads with sidewalks and curve and so on and so forth, you know. But you see, I often say that the engineers who do the engineering and to approve thing, well, I don't know how the process go to build roads. In this day and age, they're not doing a good job. Sometimes they have an opportunity to build a new piece of road. They could build a sidewalk at least 5 feet wide so that people could walk. Knowing that people are getting more health conscious, build the sidewalk. But they build a road that is 14 feet and a slipper drain that is 2.5 feet. And they expect the slipper drain that you, as a pedestrian, to walk in it. It is not right. It is not right. They have the responsibility to put in infrastructure in order to make sure that you are safe.
The newest hotel to open in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Holiday Inn Express and Suites, has been designed with a distinct local touch. Providing an overview of the project, architect Ramel Oliver highlighted that the hotel is located in an area rich in history, such as the nearby Kings Hill Reserve.
Now, Holiday Inn Express Diamond has a few extra features that makes it a little bit more Caribbean, a little bit more Vincentian, a little bit more special. First of all, the location was respected. We acknowledge that we are right across the road from the Kings Hill Forest Reserve, which is the second oldest forest reserve in the Western Hemisphere. These large cedar trees that you see around the site, they are not there by accident. This entire layout, this site layout, was adjusted and modified and tweaked to ensure that we save these trees.
Oliver emphasized that the hotel aligns with ecotourism principles, ensuring that the property preserves the lush green environment of the surrounding area.
Green areas and gardens were introduced around the site in an effort to soften and maintain a tropical feel around what really is a modern and contemporary building architecture. The idea is that even though the area is being developed, we want to keep it as green as possible. It doesn't have to be a concrete jungle. Secondly, due to the construction technologies used, the guest rooms here are a bit wider than your regular Holiday Inns. They are a bit longer than a regular Holiday Inn, by about a foot. And trust me, when you enter, you feel this difference.
This new establishment marks the second government-owned hotel in the country. Young males in the country are being encouraged to get involved in technical vocational education and training, TVET. The call was made by Minister responsible for youth, Dr. Orlando Brewster, who addressed the inaugural Youth TVET Symposium held at the Methodist Church Hall on Thursday.
And I want you to get up. If you see me mixing concrete, you will be surprised. Because I don't limit myself to only paper and pen, but I want to be as rounded as possible. So if I can do it, if I can mix the cement, if I can run 2 blocks, if I can use the saw, and as a matter of fact, don't worry, at secondary level, I did technical and vocational studies. So I know woodwork and technical drawing and all that. So I'm urging you, young men, I'm pleading with you. You got to get up. There are many institutes across the island. And there are many courses, electricity, plumbing, welding. I saw a list of them in the video here. You got to get up. Let us get to work. We have a lot of work to do in rebuilding after Hurricane Beryl. And I want you to be a part of not only the work, but improving and building and uplifting St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Delivering the feature address at the symposium, Minister of Education Curtis King stressed the importance of having everyone on board as they work to develop TVET programs, ensuring that all participants are fully certified.
Now, it is true that I have this great passion for education. After all, I've been an educator all my life. And TVET as a component which has been, 1, neglected over the years, and 2, which has been promoted not as a bona fide component like the other components in the education system, but as a component where you put those who ain't so bright, to use local parlance, into that component of our education system. And for a long period, that was the case. But I'm happy that we have been transforming that sort of mindset to one now where more and more TVET is accepted as a valuable component of our education system. And now we have students making a choice to pursue TVET education, not because someone pushed them there or because they couldn't make it in other areas, but because they have seen the value and importance of this component of our education to their own individual self-development as well as that of our society.
Minister King also took the opportunity to commend the various institutes for their participation in the activities for TVET month.
It is a month dedicated to celebrating, promoting, and reflecting on the importance of technical and vocational education and training here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This critical component of our education system is earmarked to help us to take our education revolution to the next level. And I usually put it this way: to take us upwards to the next level in our education revolution. Let me remind you that TVET has long been recognized as a cornerstone of workforce development, sustainable economic growth and development, and social empowerment. Throughout this month, therefore, we have been celebrating the progress that we have made, reflecting on the challenges we have confronted, and imagining the promising future that lies ahead for this very vital sector of our education system.
The inaugural Youth TVET Symposium was held under the theme, Generation for Change, Shaping Your Future Through TVET. The Ministry of Mobilization is exploring new programs aimed at generating income for students through the National Schools Cooperatives. This was revealed by Giovanni Roberts, an officer with the Ministry of National Mobilization, during the annual awards ceremony of the school cooperatives. Roberts explained that the ministry is focusing on areas such as agriculture, as well as other potential activities that could generate income for student members of their respective school cooperatives.
While the thrift aspect of the school cooperative is vitally important, it is not the only aspect that is worth highlighting. Even though it is yet to be fully enacted, there are plans afoot to activate the income-generating aspect of cooperatives, primarily through agribusiness components, where members of the school cooperatives will be able to grow, produce, and generate agro-processing materials for sale. It is the intention that income-generating activities will not only be restricted to agriculture, but to any activity where income can be created. This will be done primarily at the secondary school level. However, consideration will be given for it to be implemented at the primary level.
Roberts also noted that the initiative began with 83 schools forming cooperatives, but that number has since grown, resulting in thousands of students becoming members. She added that the membership has also been extended to include parents and teachers.
The thrift program can also boast of having membership of over 13,000 children. 13,000 children. Additionally, there are also members of the cooperatives who are teachers, members of the parent-teachers associations, as well as other clubs. There is also specialized savings for graduation purposes. It is observed that the school cooperatives also serve as a community bank for members of the community. Moreover, there are instances where some persons graduate from school but still maintain their accounts. This clearly demonstrates the importance of the school cooperative program to individuals.
For the 2023 to 2024 school year, students in the National Schools Cooperative saved more than EC $700,000. A 3-day queen preparing management workshop was held from Tuesday 19th November to Thursday 21st at the Calicut Town Hall. The workshop was spearheaded by the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, IICA, in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries, Rural Transformation, Industry and Labor. Local beekeepers and beekeeping enthusiasts of the Ministry of Agriculture benefited from theoretical and practical sessions facilitated by 2 Argentinian beekeeping experts. Elian Thorne, president of the Pampero Beekeeping Corporation, and Cecilia Pilgerman, researcher of the University del Argentina. The workshop covered a wide range of critical topics, which included introduction to queen rearing, colony management for queen rearing, queen selection and genetics evolution, queen cell production and grafting techniques. The workshop was conducted as a part of a project dubbed Improving Access to Replacement Queens to support the sustainable development of agriculture in the Caribbean countries, Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Trinidad and Tobago. The objective of the training was to train stakeholders in queen rearing management to support accelerated expansion of the apiaries and beekeeping products from the Caribbean region. The Ministry of Agriculture says the initiative is part of the API-Carib triangular cooperation program driven by requests from CARICOM governments to develop their agriculture industries. The overarching goal of API-Carib is to position beekeeping as an integrated agricultural practice. This approach not only fosters scientific beekeeping techniques, but also improves cooperative productivity through enhanced population, contributing to increased income and welfare for farmers and communities.